Giraffe Social Media Podcast. It's what social media managers are talking about. I'm Chloe Belchamber, and on today's episode, I'm direct messaging founding directors of Unite and Create, Dan Laurence and Chris Hobson. We'll be discussing how brands can benefit from working with a creative agency made entirely of freelancers, the secret to executing the perfect brief, and the best practices for content marketing. But first, let me introduce you to today's guests. Welcome to the podcast, Dan and Chris. How are you both?
Hi, Chloe. Yeah, really good, thank you.
Hi, Chloe. Yeah, really good.
Hi, where are you guys joining us from today?
Joining you from a very sunny Manchester. Sat in my garden at the minute inside. It's nice.
Oh no, I'm not as fortunate. Where I'm just outside of Preston, in Lancashire. The weather's terrible, if that matters.
Very rainy down here where I am as well, so I'm with you, Chris. Awesome. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we do like to kick off every episode with a round of quick fire questions. So you ready to answer some this or that?
Why not?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's jump into things. Question 1, Netflix or YouTube?
Definitely Netflix for me. Yeah, couldn't live without
I'm a
it.
YouTube guy.
Ooh, split down the middle. I like it. Swimming or sunbathing?
Sunbathing.
I reckon. It's easier.
Manchester or London?
Manchester.
Gotta be Manchester. Yeah.
Music or podcasts?
Ooh. Used to be music, but I'd probably say podcasts now as I get older.
Yeah, me too. Big fan of podcasts. Yeah, podcasts.
That's good. You would have lost some points if you didn't say podcast given the 7.
We're on one.
Work from home or work from the office?
Definitely work from home. We'll get into that more later. Yeah.
Personal choice from home. Yeah.
Easy one for you guys there. Museum or amusement park?
Amusement park.
Gotta
be.
Yeah.
More money or more free time?
Free time.
Tricky one.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence.
You get one life.
That's good.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, no, free time, yeah.
Bottomless brunch or big night out?
Bottomless brunch.
Some tough questions here, Chloe.
I think that's an age thing. I think 10 years ago.
It's definitely an age thing.
Yeah, 10 years ago, a big night out, but now bottomless brunch so I can get to bed early.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
And finally, watch sports or play sports?
Again, that's an age thing. Watch sports for me now.
Definitely play for me, yeah.
Amazing. Right, well, shall we get into some proper questions then, guys?
Go for it, yeah.
Go for it.
Thanks, Chloe.
Let's do it. No worries. So to kick things off, Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Unite and Create and how it all started and how you guys got to where you are now?
Sure. So we used to work in what would you call a very big traditional agency world. And so we had teams of in-house staff that worked with our clients on projects and a very traditional structure, if you like, in terms of how that agency was set up. We long felt it was time to do something different and the world was ready for something a little bit different and the clients deserved more of a tailored service, if you like. And so the concept for Unite and Create was born in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and we decided to set off on our own path to do something different and offer clients a very different service. We started back in November 2020, and to date we've been going approximately 9 months, and it's been fantastic. We're really proud of the journey we've been on, the clients that we've brought on board, the roster that we've grown, and the type of projects that we've delivered. I think what makes us different really is the way that we tackle projects. And so that traditional agency model for us was very much flawed and outdated. we mentioned Netflix and YouTube on our first kind of quickfire questions, but we live in a world of on-demand, personalised content, and for us, that personalisation and tailored nature of things is really what clients deserve as well. And so when we start a project with a client, the first thing we do is look at that brief, that vision, that objective, if you like, that the client wants to achieve, and we totally tailor our team every single time to that particular brief. So we've got teams of creatives that we've got huge experience of working with, that have got very specific skill sets that we deploy on jobs dependent on the specific needs of that client. We call it your dream team every time, and that is essentially what it is. We build a dream team of creatives that suit that client, suit that brief, and suit that vision for that particular project.
Absolutely. And Chris, what do you think is the main benefit as an agency who uses freelancers over an in-house team?
Thanks, Chloe. So flexibility is one of the big factors. In-house teams are great, and we've benefited hugely from them in the past. But occasionally it can provide some limitations on time, availability, but also skills and expertise. We've got access to what we call the biggest creative collective in the UK. So it doesn't really matter if a client comes to us from a sector that maybe we haven't worked in the past. We can find the right specialist who has. Our in-house teams that we work with in the past, as an owner of a business, owner operator, you're obliged to feed your team work. And if that particular team member that is available for that work isn't particularly the right fit, you've got two choices. Either you plow through, make some mistakes along the way or not, and get the work done, or you look outside of your organization and you bring in some freelance support. Agencies take both routes. Just because an agency has a big in-house team doesn't mean they don't use freelancers. What they will do, though, is often conceal the fact that they're using a freelancer. There's nothing wrong with using freelancers. We did it in the past to great success. And actually, it was one of the catalysts for coming up with the Unite and Create business model. For so long, agencies have gotten away with not being as transparent as perhaps they should be. With Unite and Create, we're fully transparent. We rely 100% on the freelance community and the expertise that they bring to each and every single job that we do. And so the biggest benefit is that flexibility and knowing that we as a business aren't limited by our people that we have on a payroll. We can stretch outside of that whenever we want to.
Absolutely. And, you kind of touched on it there with your dream team every time. But I want to know, how do you think your clients benefit from this business model, like as a whole?
Ultimately, Chloe, it's exactly that, really. It's having the right people on the right jobs at the right price every time, in short, simple answer. I think Chris touched on it a moment ago with the last question as well, that clients for us all deserve a different tailored service, and with us working with what we call the biggest creative collective in the UK, it allows us to really specifically target the right people to deliver on those objectives that each specific brief has. Sometimes, that could be people with a huge amount of experience in a particular sector, but in other instances, it could be someone that's completely left field, and a client might be looking for some really fresh, innovative new ideas and a new direction to take their brand in. And for us, the ability to be able to flex and bring people in who are perhaps very experienced in a completely different sector can bring some real fresh ideas and thinking to the table. And so for us to have that flexibility to offer the client the ultimate range of options, really, to deliver the best end result for their particular brief is what sets us apart and what we feel is the biggest benefit to clients.
Mm-hmm. And you guys kind of act as the middleman, I suppose, between your clients and your team of freelancers. So can you talk us through your strategic and creative process behind dealing with a client's campaign or project?
Absolutely, yeah. So we refer to ourselves quite often as the glue between the end client and the freelance teams that we use to complete our projects. I think that's really important. It's integral to our business, actually, that myself and Dan have our finger on the pulse with every single job that we do for a client. It enables us to offer the attractiveness of cost savings, flexibility, speed by using our freelancers, whilst guaranteeing big agency accountability levels. So you've got the founders of the business responsible at the coalface of every single job that we do. And so that's the first point to answer your question. The second part of your question around the strategic and creative process, it's a really good question because the answer is so vague. The reason it's vague is because we operate in this unique way. If I compare our process to attracting clients, engaging with prospects, landing new business, completing our first project with how we used to do it at our old agency, they're totally different. When you have an agency and there's so many different personalities, skill sets, and people involved, it's necessary to implement a degree of ways of doing things. And so a pitch process, a client kickoff process, a lot of boxes to tick, when actually every single client's different. Every single one of them is different. And so the approach to every single client should be unique. And that's where we've seen a massive portion of our success come from since November last year, in treating every single client like they're the only client that exists. Because we know that when you land a client, they think you're the only bit of business you're working on anyway. So we might as well start as we mean to go on. So every single process is different, and there's a few things that are consistent in that process, i.e. myself and Dan being the glue. With that comes the need for myself and Dan to have a really, really deep understanding of the client, their business, their objectives, their likes, their dislikes, where they have had success in the past with agencies, but also understanding where agencies have come short, because it'll allow us to manage our own expectations and the client's expectations if we need to. And so we go into a bit of a deep dive when we meet a brand new client. We want to know what makes them tick. And then from there, we figure out the path of least resistance, if you like, to creating success for that client. Sometimes it might mean challenging a client. A client might come to us because they perceive us as being one thing, but actually we know that they're doing things a bit differently will actually result in better content or better return on investment for this client. And so we'll need to push back. That only comes with experience, and that's where myself and Dan really thrive.
Yeah, and I love that analogy you gave of sort of tearing up the rule book, and that you guys aren't afraid to kind of go back to your clients and say, that's a great idea, but this is probably going to work better. So I think that's an awesome approach. But Dan, I want to know, why do you think it's important for brands to get involved in content marketing? What can it do for a business?
I think the power of content marketing has arguably never been stronger, more important, and more accessible, thanks to the advent of things like social media and the reach that has for what is really a fraction of the cost of your more traditional media. And so for us, clients that aren't involved in content marketing are just missing out. Why wouldn't you want your brand to have exposure? Why wouldn't you want your brand to shine? Why wouldn't you want your brand to be above your competitors? And content marketing can help you get there in terms of what it can do and achieve for a business. Particularly through mediums like video. We do a lot of animation work, a lot of video work for our clients, and the reach that has as a medium is fantastic, particularly online, and really helps businesses shine in the best light possible.
I love that. And that leads really nicely into my next question. I mean, Unite and Create does a lot of work in the video and animation space. What do you think makes video so important in the world of marketing?
It's so much more attractive than the written word. The written word is beautiful when it's nailed, but you've also got to cater for lots of different markets and lots of different types of people. For a start, we consume video content now more than ever. One of the reasons that I opted for YouTube over Netflix is because every single night before I go to bed, I'll watch my favorite YouTube channels. I'll pick up some new ones. I'll learn things that I didn't know before, and it'll be so much more engaging. And I am so impatient, just in my nature. I don't have the time to read, and so I am much more likely to watch something than I am to read it. The killer the killer ingredient though is in being specific in who you're talking to and who you're targeting. The written word has to cater for so many different people. When you make a video, that you don't just have to make one version of that video, and it doesn't have to be seen by one particular type of person either. You can make many different cuts of the same type of video to speak to many different types of people if you really understand how to target those people. And it's something that myself and Dan have got a lot of experience in, and are advising clients on a daily basis of how to attract new prospects. It's such a competitive world now that if you want to know something or if you want to find out some information, it's all there at your fingertips. But if we can make that accessible via video and push that direct to people, then it's even quicker.
Definitely. And you guys have kind of had the pleasure and the privilege to work with a lot of world-class brands, as you like to call them. I want to know, what's the secret to nailing a brief?
That's really simple, actually, for us. It's having a great brief. It really is having a great brief, and that sounds like a simple thing to say. It's not always a simple thing to get to. So we spend a huge amount of time at the very start of a project getting to understand the client and getting to understand the brief, and that might sometimes mean working with the client to write the brief. There might be a telephone conversation that's happened rather than something written, and for us, that time invested at the start is what enables us to deliver the great results at the end, and to be able to come up with storyboards, visuals, concepts, whatever is needed to give us that blueprint, if you like, for success, for us is the best investment of time both us and the client can make, because getting the brief right at the start is absolutely what delivers the results at the end. Firm believer in that.
So then how do you guys measure the success of your client campaigns? After you've nailed that brief, you've delivered the content, they've used it, how are you measuring how well it's gone?
In all honesty, it's repeat business. We're so fortunate that we've got relationships going back years and years with our clients that mean that when they leave an organization to join a new one, they take us with them. And it's about that personal approach. It's about sometimes sacrificing the commercial benefits to make sure that the client gets a really, really good end product. How those assets are used isn't always under our control. We provide advice to clients on how to get the most out of their content, on how to get more out of their investments. But ultimately, giving them an end product that we're really, really proud of is most important, and that tells when a client comes back to you to give you the next brief. So the success of our client campaigns isn't something that we're always 100% control of, and I think any agency out there who says that they are in denial. It really tells that clients come back to us time and time again. And some of the longevity in our relationship speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to just briefly, I guess, one of the benefits of working with Unite and Create is that you are working with that dream team for every job, no matter what the job is. How important is it for brands to make sure they're working with people who have the talent and have the capabilities to execute a project for them?
I think this is vital, really. I mean, for us, the key to any great creative campaign is the brains behind it, ultimately. And so those people are where the magic happens. We call our team the biggest creative collective in the UK, because that's what it is. We've got people on hand across a range of disciplines, a range of skill sets, range of experiences that allow us to really kind of smash every project out of the park. And those people are what makes the magic happen. You know, without the people and the creative talent behind each project, then you're not going to get great results. And so having the right people on the right job at the right time is vital.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, do you ever get clients, or maybe have you sort of heard that because you guys are that middleman between yourself, the client, and the freelancers you work with, do you have clients that are perhaps a little bit nervous of working with people that they're not in direct contact with? Obviously, you guys are the founding directors, so, you know, that's all integral to you guys, but has that ever happened?
It's a question that comes up sometimes, because there'll be some old heads in the agency world that might stumble across this podcast and believe that we're not doing anything new. It's all about the execution. We're not claiming to have reinvented the wheel. We're telling clients that we're transparent in our approach. It's relatively new for end clients, and some of the reservations that they have around our business model are growth. Who's going to be handling their accounts? How do we resource our talent? How do we ensure that the same resources available to take up future projects, etc.? And a testament to how we deal with those objections is in some of our contracts that we've got. Having gone through procurement processes with the biggest chemicals company in the world, the biggest mining company in the world, the biggest music streaming company in the world. Once we explain our model, people get on board really quick. And it's often the case that people will test you out on a job or two, and that's perfectly fine. But we're changing attitudes to our business model in rapid fashion. We always thought that it was desperately unfair that freelancers got sometimes a bit of a negative rap with end clients. And occasionally there's going to be the odd freelancer that might let you down on a project, but that happens with in-house teams too. It really does. People have a day where they're just not 100% on the ball. They have a day where they're distracted with other projects. COVID's brought about so many distractions in our daily lives. I mean, I've got 3 children. I can attest to this. Things happen that mean that you need to change your plans pretty quick. And it's just really unfair that freelancers sometimes, not all the time, got a bit of a negative rap with end clients. With myself and Dan being the accountable sources, if you like, we're the people that you always have contact with. We take away that burden. We're promising the client that you trust us with your brief and we will deliver, and we don't miss. And so if any of those issues occur, they're our issues as a business to deal with. And it's because of the extensive network of freelancers, our relationship that we build up with clients as well, that we can overcome time and time again some of the things that life throws at us. Dan, have you got anything to add to that?
I think you've covered it really, really well. I think the point on the reputation of freelancers, as Chris said, is unfair in some instances, and we are proud. I think what makes us different, to Chris's earlier point, that not necessarily doing anything different, but we're very different in the way that we shout about it. You know, we're proud of the team that we work with. We're really proud to work with freelancers because there is some amazing talent out there. We're really proud to champion them, and for us, that as a route to always give the ultimate flexibility to our clients and the ultimate ability to tailor every single team to every single brief is what really sets us apart and makes us different. And different's good. Different is exciting for the client. They judge us on results. They judge us on results at the end of the day. And as Chris said, that repeat business for us is the acid test of kind of why we're doing something right and why we're doing brilliant work for each client that we work with. and that team that are behind us, we put them up on a pedestal and we're proud of them. And not every agency does that. I think that's what makes Unite and Create different. We have one way of doing things, but in actual fact, it's many, many, many ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, for anyone listening that maybe does have their reservations, it's not all bad news. And this is something I know you're both going to want to talk about, but you do have a new service model on the way. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'd love to, and really excited to. So, the business model for us was always to onboard clients in the right way and gain their trust through what might be seen as a new business model. So working with clients on a project by project basis, and that could be a project that spans over 6 months. It could be a project that spans over a few days or a day. The aim for us was to turn these clients into longer term partners, and service those partners in a slightly different way. So with Unite and Create's traditional model, we will access the right creatives for the right job, depending on the brief, as we've already discussed. It might be more appropriate for certain clients who can forecast that they're going to have a lot of content to create. They've got perhaps a rebrand job that's coming up, or they've got a nice wishful sort of to-do list of things they want to achieve over the next 6 months, 12 months, to contract us on what might be seen as a bit of a retainer basis. We had a good think about that, and we developed a concept called UniteX. So UniteX is our new service to clients, where clients commit to us for a 6-month period. They access all of the same benefits they do with Unite and Create. So reduce rates through us using freelance support, speed of turnaround, expectations, etc. The big key difference is that those resources are retained by us on a regular basis, and so they are available to the client at all times, like a tap that you can switch on or switch off if you like. So a client doesn't start after worrying about budget, doesn't have to start worrying about time around deadlines, etc. We extend their creative team almost overnight. We introduce to them a creative director, a team of designers, an animator, a copywriter, other resources if needed, appropriate to that client's specific wants and needs. And they're set up with internal infrastructure, if you like, to make them a part of their team, but under our management. The attractive thing for clients is not just the saving on traditional day rates. They have a bank of time that they can draw down on. So rather than a use it or lose it basis, they've got a chunk of time that they can buy over a 6 to 12 month period that they draw down on. So they've got a great big project that requires more time. They might use a big chunk of that time in the first month, but then months 2 and 3 are either maintenance or amends or slight tweaks or whatever it might be. So it's super flexible for clients, and it avoids them having to go through the dreaded hiring process. You know, it's really, really hard these days to hire the right kind of talent. You could hire them and they're not a great cultural fit. You could hire them and they accept a job elsewhere. You could hire them and once they get into the job, actually what you've been sold isn't quite what you bought. And so we take away all of those pressures, all of the additional costs associated with recruiters and all that jazz, and input a creative team on a temporary basis or a permanent basis according to the client's needs. So all of a sudden we've got a choice, Chloe. Clients can operate with us on a project by project basis, or once they've tested the water and they're satisfied with our business model, they can firm things up with some regular resource that is dedicated to their brand. It's got a really good understanding of brand guidelines, what the company wants to achieve, all of these things that an internal employee would normally learn over time. And then when you want to turn the tap off or scale back, the client's got the option to do that too. So it's a new tier of service. Dan, have I covered everything there, or would you like to add anything?
No, you covered it perfectly. it's hard to add any more to that. I suppose the only I might repeat a few things here, but For us, there is definitely an opportunity, and we've seen a need and a demand for clients to want that on-demand service, if you like. So UniteX is really, really suited to clients who have regular content and know they have regular content and really like to plan ahead. And so at the start of their financial year, their calendar year, that they want to look ahead and say, right, we think we're going to need X amount of content marketing for social, we're going to need X amount of content for internal comms. It really allows them to plan accordingly, and as Chris said, be able to turn the tap on immediately and then turn it on even more whenever they want, and for them to have that allocated amount of time that they can draw down on across whatever services they like. It's not restricted to one service at a time. Again, takes the Unite and Create model of being totally tailored to each individual client's needs. It's just for us a really exciting way of working, and we're proud to say we've already got a couple of clients that are on this model, and it's not officially launched yet, so we must be doing something right with it.
That's very exciting. And for those listening, I believe UniteX is launching in September.
It is indeed, yeah.
Very nice. Well, guys, before we wrap things up, I do want to know, you guys said you've been going strong since November. I want to know, of all the projects and campaigns that you've been a part of, which one's been your favorite and why?
It's a really hard question because there's been so many, and it sounds really cheesy, but we're massively proud of every project we've worked on. I think if we had to pick one, it's probably the Real Results virtual farm that we've delivered for BASF. BASF are the world's biggest chemical company, and firstly we're massively proud to be a partner of theirs and work on projects such as this. In terms of that specific project, taking a concept that was already successful but completely reimagining it to the point where it's now become one of the key components in their agricultural division's online and virtual strategy is something that we're massively proud of. I think anybody would be proud of that. Chris, have you got anything you want to add in terms of other ones?
Yeah, it's one of those projects where you're really proud of it because of the journey that you've been on with it. It was a project that initially was meant to last a very short period of time, and it was a reaction to COVID. And so the Real Results Virtual Farm is a virtual platform where BASF can showcase the results of their products to both clients and their distributors. And it was a replacement for getting out on physical events, physical visits to a farm. And so how do we take the experience of visiting an expert, an agronomist who is a part of developing this product, showcasing products live, touching, feeling, asking questions. How do we replicate that experience and take it into the virtual space? And so it was a big challenge to overcome. We did it. We were super proud of the first iteration. We always felt, though, that it could do a bit more for us. Roughly, they would have a couple of thousand attendees if they were doing live visits. There's well over 50,000 visitors now to this platform every year. So it's become an integral part of the business, and one that we're really proud to be a part of. And so it's in the public domain. Go and have a look at it. Real Results Virtual Farm. If you give that a Google, you'll soon find it. It's a digital platform, and it shows off a different side to Unite and Create too, because people sometimes pigeonhole us for video services, animation, design, but actually our digital offering is super strong. We've got some great talent that we work with to produce these jobs. And so we've got ourselves into a position, Chloe, where we don't really have to say no to many briefs that come in. And it's just a great show of strength as to what we can do when we put our minds to it.
Amazing. Well, guys, before I let you go, I have one last question. What do you think is the industry's biggest opportunity? I know you guys aren't afraid to, make opinions, rattle some cages. So.
Yeah. it it's probably lots of little opportunities, Chloe, that have come about because of COVID. So COVID has been dreadful for a lot of industries, the events industry, hospitality industries, travel, etc. But actually, for businesses, it's opened up a new way of communicating with their fans, their customers, their potential customers. We're all spending a lot more time at home. We're all consuming media in a totally different way. We might go down the stairs and make ourselves a coffee, and whilst we're doing it, have a quick look at LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter or TikTok if you're my wife, and consume media at times when you perhaps weren't expecting to. And so there's an opportunity to reach a much wider audience than you perhaps could in the past, when you could predict pretty confidently that a percentage of the country would be at their desks from the hours of 9 to 5. That's totally changed now. The workplace might never be the same again. And so there's a really big opportunity in how brands get their content in front of people. And without giving any trade secrets away, it's something that we'd love to explore with anybody else out there that's interested.
Mm-hmm. Dan, any from you?
I think I was going to say the same thing in terms of COVID. It's flipped the world on its head. We all work in a very, very different way now. Touched on it at the very start of this podcast in terms of where we work. You know, our offices are remote. Our clients are all over the UK. We are able to service clients wherever they are, whenever they are, want us to be on projects. You know, we've got clients that take us beyond that UK map as well. So we've worked with clients that are based in Spain, clients that are based in the US over the last few months, and just the world's got a lot smaller, massively so. I think the advent of the need and the demand to have to use virtual platforms to conduct face-to-face meetings has sort of shown us that there is a very, very different way of working, a very, very different way of operating. And for us, it's been the real catalyst, if you like, that's helped us work with so many clients in such a breadth of geographical space. So that's an opportunity. As Chris said, what that brings with it is people engaging with content in different ways and at different times. And for that reason, there's a demand for more and more content, and we're, without wanting to plug ourselves at the end of it, we're here. uniteandcreate.com, check us out, and we're here.
Amazing. What a great strong finish from you guys. That is all we have time for today, but I want to thank you both so much for joining us on the podcast.
Chloe, thank you so much for having us. It's an absolute pleasure working with you guys and the team. Can't recommend you guys highly enough. And so,
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
If you are listening and you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, or follow us if you're listening on Spotify. We would love to hear what you thought about today's episode, so make sure you reach out on social media and let us know what you thought. We've been Giraffe Social Media. You've been amazing. We'll see you next time.